think people could learn from Colby. You know, he's going to be in that pool by himself because all these crybabies can't stand to hear anybody boo him. He's just being himself, and it's what all fighters should do. You know, we'll see these fighters come out, and they want to act like, you know, some religious angle or like they're the world's nicest guy when they're nothing more than a dirty, rotten cage fighter. And it's off-putting to the crowd. You know, be whoever you are. If you're a funny guy, be the funny guy. If you're the smart ass, be the smart. But just be who you are. Don't try to fool any of us. And Colby's not. This is who he is. I've known him since he was 11 years old. He's not working an angle here. This isn't some act. He's just sick of staying quiet. He's tired of it. He feels like he's been overlooked. Man, I know that feeling. And I'll remind you, 1 minute ago, you were talking about George St. Pierre, the most decorated, biggest draw in the history of the business, and now you're talking about Colby Covington. Colby Covington and your show just ended up on the same page as George St. Pierre.
Right,
so he's doing something right. The guy is doing something right. And if he's hurting a bunch of people's feelings, well, F him anyway, man. Well, whose feelings do you care about? These crybaby fighters or apparently these crybaby fans?
You know what, man? I not only do I agree with you 100%, but every time I have him on the show, I'm always, you know, I know that there's a ton of backlash, but I'm always encouraging him because it's like, man, you are doing something that nobody else is doing. I mean, you obviously, Chael, you wrote the playbook on this for mixed martial arts, but he's doing what he needs to do to get the opportunities that he wants, and so far it's been paying off for him. And I think
and
a lot
it's bonus material for us. I mean, Colby's going to fight 3 times a year, which gives us the opportunity to be entertained by him for 45 minutes a year. And this guy's found a way to keep us entertained 15 hours a day, 7 days a week. I mean, how about a little thank you to him? We don't even have to pay for that. I got to pay for his fights 3 times a year. But you know, the other 362 days he's given to us for nothing. How about a little thank you throw Colby's way every now and then?
Absolutely. I thank him every time he comes on because every time it is just fire, absolute fire. The guy is very hot on the mic, does not waste an opportunity. But I think one of the most important parts to what both you guys have been able to do as heels is to be unapologetic. You know, as soon as you backtrack, that gimmick starts to lose value. I'm sure you'd agree with that.
Oh, 100%. I was so worried, too. I was so worried he was going to do it after the Maya fight, that he was going to come out and say he was sorry. He came out and said, I'm sorry. Remember, let me remind you, for any fans that don't know what we're talking about, it was only a month ago, but we got a lot of new fans. He called Brazil a bunch of filthy animals. In Brazil, he calls them a bunch of filthy animals. He apologizes in writing the next day. I think it was a Facebook post, but somewhere in writing, he apologized to any filthy animal he may have insulted. And then he signs it, Colby Covington. I mean, it was brilliant. It really was brilliant. And I also thought it was a major wink to the crowd. I thought it was a major way of saying, look, this is the direction I'm going in, so come along for the ride, okay? You saw the ride, you bought a ticket anyway. You know, don't act surprised when we went in a big circle. And I just thought it was a lot of fun. I thought it was brilliant. And, you know, the guy's a smart guy. He's a lot smarter than people know he is. He knows what he's doing. And he's being himself. That's the other part of it. What the hell's wrong with the guy being an entertainer? The guy's an entertainer.
Yeah, I agree. And the formal apology, absolutely hysterical. I mean, I had been texting him that night.
It was funny, right? Thank you for saying that. There's nothing insensitive about it. It was funny. And how about Dana's response? Dana came out and goes, yeah, I know the Brazilian people. They're tough enough to have somebody trying to hurt their feelings. It's like, thank you, the end. There's nothing more to say here. That's just the truth. That's what we always get from Dana. Every time Dana finally speaks, he can put a bow on. I mean, people are going in circles about this thing. Dana put a bow on it in 2 sentences, and everybody just had to sit there and go, yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's the fight business. People try to hurt each other's feelings. Yeah, okay, let's move on. Absolutely. It was brilliant. It was brilliant by everybody.
I couldn't agree more, man. And I was texting him that night. I was like, hey, amazing performance, even better job on the mic, but man, I hope you get out of there safe. And he was like, yeah, I sure as hell do too. So awesome stuff from him. But when we had Colby on the show weeks ago, or, you know, I believe it was the week of the Maya fight after he'd won, I said to Colby that he is to Tyron Woodley what you were to Anderson Silva. I'm wondering, do you think that Woodley realizes and understands that Colby could potentially help him get back into the good graces of the fans?
No, I don't think Tyron's there yet. But you know, Tyron's approach wasn't a lot different than Colby's. Now, I mean, he had a different angle. That's true. But Tyron Woodley put his finger in the chest of anybody that was in front of him, including his own teammate, which has never happened before. Fought his own teammate for a title, which had never happened before. Knocked his own teammate out and took his belt. Never once said he was sorry. Tyron Woodley would not let anybody stop him from getting to his goals either. Now, just because Colby's got a little different approach, it's the same thing. It's two guys that understand this is competition. They're wrestlers. They got a wrestler's mentality. You take on anybody that shows up with absolutely no apologies and no exception. Whether he's your friend, your teammate, your roommate, doesn't make any difference. If he shows up that day in your weight, you guys battle. And you shake hands when it does. That's a wrestler's mentality. These guys in fighting don't have it, but these guys are both wrestlers. They both get it. That's the way it is. So, Colby's not going to miss those opportunities either. Tyron Woodley at one point, and none of this is all meant as a compliment to Tyron, but the history is still the history. He was 2-1 in the UFC when he was calling for a title shot. He then lost. He was 2-2 and called for a title shot. He then won. He was 3-2. And they were going to give him a title fight. When they gave it to him, I'd have to go back and look, but his record wasn't any better than 4-2 in his last 6 when he fought for the title, won it, and then went on to defend it. He was the rightful guy, but you can't go off of records or rankings or anything else. You have to go off who wants to see it, who wants it the most, who says yes when the promoter calls. And I can just tell you, I'll speak for Colby right now. I've known him since he was 11. If he breaks his hand, he breaks his foot, and they call him, he's going to say yes, and he's not going to complain. He's not going to make excuses, and he's going to walk out there. And he's going to have a hell of a time when he's locked in there with Tyron Woodley. That's the other part of it. But again, that's the business that we're in. So what? He's had a hell of a time before. So what? That's the match we want to see. I want to see it. I think that's the one you want to see.
Absolutely.
I'm not in for anybody getting, cut in front of. I like the rankings, and I like to follow order. I like the right guys to get opportunity. But Wonder Boy is clearly the number one contender, but he's had the shot twice. He's not getting it a third time. History says the only time you go to a third fight is if you split the first 2. So it defaults to Colby. It's Colby's fight.
Yep.
Let's just sign the damn thing.
Absolutely. And, RDA with Lawler, who knows how that's going to play out. One of those guys, they could get badly injured in that fight and be sidelined a while. Colby is definitely the guy at this point. I could not agree with you more. But speaking of Woodley, what do you think of this talk with all this stuff that was going back and forth with him and Nate Diaz and the possibility of that fight happening, Nate moving up and then, leapfrogging the entire division? What do you think was going on there? Was there any merit to that, or was that just smoke?
I believed it. I really thought that it was probably going to be a real thing. It's very, very rare that a champion calls somebody out. We're seeing it more and more, but it's still in the category of not only rare, but very rare. And when a champion does, then the fight happens. That's the one sign of approval that you sit and wish you could get, is that the champion calls me out. But it just doesn't happen. We just saw Cormier called a guy out, and the guy got the fight. And he's a very tough guy, and I follow this sport closely. His last name's hard to pronounce, and I don't know what his first name is, and I don't mean any of that condescending. I don't mean it condescending at all. That's my fault. I should know. Maybe. I should know what his name is, but I just don't. And I'm saying, but he got the blessing. He got the champ to call him out. So in this case, Tyron Woodley has called out Nate Diaz in some of the biggest media platforms you can get, including twice on TMZ, which is – some eyeballs are going to see that. Come on, Nate. Let's not ask for $15 million, man. Let's ask for a contract and get over to a fax machine. Let's just do that. Go take a world title fight. Come on.
So you think he's being a little ridiculous and playing this hardball with the company at this point?
Well, I just don't want him to miss the opportunity. He and his brother, they've got their own style and their own shtick and their own approach to things. Go ahead and ask, but just don't ask for too long. December 30th is right around the corner. We don't have time to play games here. That clock is ticking. Right. And those opportunities don't come along. And so that's all I'm saying. I want Nate Diaz to get that fight. I love watching Nate Diaz compete. I don't really give a damn who the opponent is. Tyron wants the fight. I don't know of a fight that Tyron's wanted in a while. He was even on Woodley. He's like, really? Wonder Boy, really? Wonder Boy again? I was kind of with Tyron on that. It's a weird fight. You got through the first one. Let's just move on. Maya, he's like, Maya, really? How am I supposed to go out and look good? But he went out and did it. Now all of a sudden we're seeing Tyron Woodley with a fight that he actually wants. Come on, Nate.
Right.
Well, fans want you to have this, man, and I think Nate's a very good friend of mine. I don't want to share anything privileged with you, but I really think Nate wants this fight too. I think he wants this opportunity. I just don't know if he understands the clock is ticking, and they've got to go to marketing. They've got to go to press. They got to ink this thing fast. Don't miss your shot.
Absolutely, and not to mention, Lord knows you don't want less time than 4 weeks to prepare for a guy like Tyron Woodley either. So
that's exactly right.
For sure. Just to move back to Colby here for a moment, I've only got a few more questions here for you. You've been more than generous with your time as always.
Stay on it, man. He's my favorite topic. Stay on it.
I know you said that what Werdum did was a scumbag move, and you had a very interesting explanation of the UFC forcing athletes to press charges from a corporate standpoint. But do you think Colby loses any credibility with charges filed if they do get filed?
No, I don't think he does in the least, and I didn't like Werdum's explanation either. So Werdum comes out, and he says, hey, we're both fighters, man. We got a code amongst men. So what? Something broke off between us. We don't press charges on one another. That was his argument. That argument's not terrible. There is a code amongst the boys, and things do get a little heated, but you leave it amongst the boys. However, he wants to talk about honor. He threw a foreign object at him. We're in the most wide open and reckless and dangerous sport there is. For years, people called it barbaric, and then somehow that narrative changed. I don't know how it changed. If fighting a man in a steel cage for the applause of a drunken audience and a paycheck isn't barbaric, then I don't know what is. I just don't give a goddamn that it is. And with as limited as rules as we have, you're 3 weight classes separated from him. You've got a bunch of buddies with you. You approach him when he's not ready, and as though that's not cowardly enough, you throw a foreign object, you throw a weapon at him, and you hit him in the face. I mean, it was outlandish that he tried to say, hey, man, honor amongst the boys. What honor? Right. You threw honor out when you approached him on the street without a weigh-in or a commission or a referee. You threw honor out when you showed up with friends. You're prepared and he's not, and you broke the law when you attacked him with a foreign object. I'm a gangster, and I wouldn't hit anybody with a foreign object because I don't need to.
I gotta tell you, man, when all this news broke, only in mixed martial arts would something as crazy as a guy throwing a boomerang at another guy. Only in this sport would that happen. I thought that was absolutely insane. But Werdum,
Colby should have let it slide. Ferguson should have let it slide. He should have ankle picked him like he threatened to do. Verdum's a rough son of a bitch, but that just adds to the point why he shouldn't behave like that. Okay, Werdum can be a very intimidating guy inside the ring, collecting a paycheck for $250,000 with guys his own size. He's going to go up to a 55-pounder. He's going to go up to a 70-pounder with friends when they're not prepared. And he's got to bring a weapon that he wants to complain that the code was broken. No, man. Right. Werdum, you broke the code.
Now, there could have been something lost in translation here, but Werdum had also said that Colby walked by himself and Rafael Cordeiro and called them filthy animals. Do you think that there's any truth to that? I find it really hard to believe that Colby would do something so stupid.
That is just an outlandish lie. You know, he added to the lie. And Verdum's not a good liar. He's not a good liar at all. His demeanor changes. His face changes. He's a terrible liar. So not only did he say that he called them filthy animals, which... No, the answer is no, that did not happen. He said Colby kicked him. He just walked up to you. You were with a whole bunch of buddies. You're the former heavyweight champion of the world. Some dude trying to get his comeuppance walks past you, calls you names, and then kicks you. Come on, man.
and then he made it a point to say, "I blocked the kick."
Yeah, I blocked the kick. You know, it's no big deal. I don't mind. He kicked me out, go outside. I said, what's that? Yeah, it's like Werdum. None of those things happen. You were a total scumbag in this. You approached a guy, you know, as soon as you saw him backing up because he's doing the math and going, okay, 1, 2, 3 of you, 1 of me, streets, no referee. You throw a weapon at him? Like, come on, man.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
And there's still a way to handle it. Hey, Colby. I screwed up, and I'm sorry. Would you please drop those charges? I won't do it again. Yeah, okay, we're good here. That would have worked. Again, I've known this guy since he was 11. That right there would have worked. Coming out and lying, trying to make it like Colby is saying stuff, you know, privately. No, he would never do that privately. It's all for entertainment. Secondly, that he kicked it. Come on. Colby Covington? Listen, I love the way the guy fights, but he's not Mr. Kicker, okay? He's not going to like his 5th best thing right out of the gate against the heavyweight champion. Maybe if he said he blasted me with a double and threw me over a car hood and none of you saw that, I go, oh, okay, that sounds like the Colby I know. He threw a kick. Really. Seen him in the octagon 6 times. Never seen him throw one, but he threw one on you in the streets of Australia, you lying prick. No, right. Didn't happen.